that we can definitely send you all a copy here. But I wanted to thank everyone for coming back. If it's your first time here, great. These are, they're progressive, but we're looping back. There's, with this coaching, Tara does her own lead coaching program, that crazy thing called Lead Gen. So she's been successful herself with online leads. She now guides and coaches other realtors on how to do exactly the same. And so she's here with us discovering and, talking about topics that would be beneficial for you guys when it comes to managing, nurturing, how to correspond with them, when to correspond with them, and so on.
Yeah.
So just see here. Perfect. Hi, Lena. It's your first time here. Great. Now, you guys, as always, all of our recordings, we record them. You should be getting a copy of this recording 24 hours later. So typically you're going to get that in your inbox right from Zoom. We also throw that on our YouTube channel. So I suggest, if you haven't already, go to Agent Locator's YouTube channel and subscribe. That way, if you ever miss a webinar or content that we feel is valuable that we posted, you're always going to get that notification so you can watch it when you have a moment. Perfect. So today we are covering a couple topics. For the most part, we'll see what we get through, depending on the length of conversation, even showing people how to go about doing it, questions, things like that. I see, Jag, you have your hand up. Did you have a question? Did you want to talk about that question, or did you want to use the chat or the Q&A? I don't know if he's going to do anything. We'll wait.
Say hi, he says. He or she.
Oh, hey, Jay. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, good. He's waving at us. Awesome.
Keep going. Keep it
Perfect. Going. So today, one of the topics we wanted to talk about, or I suggested talking about, was organization. It is, I feel like, a major component and contributor to our ultimate success with whatever job we're in, and especially in the real estate world. You're all over the place, right? There's no, like, you go to your office from 9 to 5 and you sit there and you do your job. You've got several different components that make up your daily routine, and so figuring out how to stay on top of that and manage your schedules to be the most efficient that you can be, so you're not finding yourself feeling super overwhelmed, right? I come across two different types of realtors. The one that can, or individuals, not even necessarily realtors, the one that can take on a lot and still have that ability to take on more. Then you have the ones that, let's say if it was real estate, have one buyer and one listing, and like, that's enough. They can't take any more. They're going here, there, and everywhere. They're overwhelmed with that. So Tara, is talking to your clients that are signing up for your program, is talking about organization and daily habits something that you guys focused on to achieve their ultimate success when they're working their leads and just real estate in general?
Well, I think, when we talked about this earlier, Crystal, this to me is the key to being successful at conversion. I can't stress enough that until you become a realtor, you truly have no idea how many directions you're pulled in on any given day, right? And I will tell you, I learned very quickly from when I became a brand new realtor that if I wanted to be successful, I had to figure out how to time block myself and stick to my systems and my plans. So I'm going to give you an example. On the weekend, I decided on Sunday, when I was finally driving home at almost 7 p.m. and I had left the house at 7:35 a.m. How many hours have I worked this weekend? And I figured it out that between Saturday and Sunday, I literally worked 23 and a half hours. I put 600 kilometers on my car. I taught a real estate course for our brokerage, for new agents, our pathfinders. I had 4 separate sets of buyers and I showed 14 houses. That being said, I still followed up with my leads. So it takes a really good mindset to go, okay, I can be on the road, but guess what? When I stop at a house, I can still check my email really quickly to see if the lead's asked me a question, and I can reply and say, I'm just with clients right now. Thank you so much, Sue. I'll get back to you as soon as I get in the door. So that's all about mindset. And it's all about time management and understanding the value of getting back to them very quickly.
Absolutely. I imagine all of us have been in situations where we want that information and we're not getting a response, right? It's definitely can be very aggravating depending on our moods or the situation, really depending on what it is that we're looking for answers for. So yeah, absolutely. Like being able to mentally know to check those things or having those daily habits already in place, knowing that this is part of my job. I need to regularly be checking my email, even if I'm not at my desk. I need to be, or my messages or whatever it is, I need to be responsive. Do you keep a schedule for yourself? Like, do you time block? Do you suggest time blocking and creating like a calendar for yourself where you might even color code it to get into those habits and routines of, this is my conversion time, this is my free time, this is family time, this is,
Sure. Family time. Yeah. You know what? Yes. Do I do that now to a certain degree, but I don't need to time block and color code now because it's all here. I know what I have to do on a daily basis to continue to work all the pillars of my business. So when I'm coaching others and we talk about time management and we talk about mindset, which I believe the two go hand in hand. You either want to do a deal or you don't. You realize that you have to work to get the deal or you don't. And if you're part of the don'ts, then don't complain if you don't have business, right? So going forward, I think that everybody has to kind of evaluate what their day looks like. Are you a realtor that stays up really late and maybe wakes up at 10 or 11? Can we adjust that so that your day starts earlier? Because I believe with my experience only and the people that I coach and the agents that I'm teaching, when somebody gets up earlier, I like to call it, actually, it's not even me that calls it. It's one of the owners of our brokerage. They call it the 5 a.m. club. Let's get up a little earlier. Let's do our workout. Let's have our shower and let's start our day. Even if that means you're starting your day at your home office, right? Whatever that is for you. I think that's absolutely key. And when I start my day, Crystal, in the morning, what I do is I open up Agent Locator. That's my time. For me, it's between 7:30 and usually 9:30 or 10 a.m. That's my choice of time where I'm now going in, I'm following up my tasks that I'm creating for myself for each and every lead. And I'm going in and taking a look at Tracy, Bob, Sue, Devin, all the leads. That's what I'm investing. So for the rest of my day, when I'm flying like crazy, all I'm doing after that is continually checking my email to see if somebody has replied to something that I need to take care of.
Just in case the bots are looking, I'll block it.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what that was.
Someone just didn't have their microphone muted. It's all good.
Okay. So does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, are you, when you're going in and you're checking your leads in the morning, you're looking at your tasks that you're accomplishing, are you hammering out any emails at 7 o'clock in the morning? Obviously, if it's a call, I don't imagine you're calling somebody at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, no, absolutely.
So you're kind of handling what you can handle now. These are all the things I can do, regardless if this person's awake or not. I can shoot them an email, let them know I'm there, so it's right there when they wake up.
And I think it's good. And this is what I say. This really is one of the reasons why I've been so successful at converting leads. And again, this has been for 15 or 16 years that I've been successful. It's because I invest part of my time into each lead. And when I talk about investing time, I mean, open up the lead, double click on the lead's name, go in and take a look at what they've looked at. Just making yourself invested a little bit more into who they are. You may not need to send them an email or a follow-up based on what you're seeing, but at least you've taken the time to open up that lead and get a little bit more familiar with their activity. So there could be, my tasks are based on at the end of the drip, do I maybe want to follow up with them? Do I maybe want to call them or text them? But first and foremost, it means opening them up and looking and seeing what they've been doing.
Yes.
Because then I might need to, or I might not need to. If I don't need to do another follow-up, then that time in the morning, I'm just booking up another task. I might push it for another 30 days so I can redo it again. So in all honesty, when I'm looking at my leads early in the morning, I have a lot of tasks waiting for me because I have thousands of leads, and I'm continually pushing a task later so that I can look at Bob again.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm doing every morning is I'm consistently investing my time into a lead that I've already paid for. Right. And now I know that lead a little better going down the road.
No, absolutely. Just staying on top of it and knowing your database, right?
Yeah.
Knowing their behaviors and then learning those behaviors because they're constantly changing.
Yep.
Right. And that's how you have mentioned in the past is how you also initiate a conversation is you're watching that activity, whether it also starts to pick up a little bit more often, then, you know, things might have changed. So that's going to prompt you to reach out and perhaps just spark up a conversation again, just see where they're at now in the process, or maybe things changed or whatever it may be.
For sure. You know, I know for me, and I believe this as I help others, I see them progress and start doing deals. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing of all is that you're starting to interact, right? You can't do a deal with somebody that's not answering you. So when you're investing a little bit more of yourself, now you're really invested more into Bob than Bob even knows you are. And I think that just helps along with your mindset to know that all you have to do is show these people that you're here, but you can't show it to them if you never open up Agent Locator.
No, exactly.
You know, when I talk to people and they're like, oh, you know what, I got 500 leads in there and I haven't looked at them in 2 months. And I'm like, then what are you complaining about?
Yes. Absolutely. Right? You get that a lot, you look, and so tracking is key, and knowing you're not only what the lead is doing, but what you're doing in those, you know, for those leads over that period of time as well. So that's one of the, you know, most common things that we'll see is when somebody's saying they can't find success. We look in and nothing is logged. There's nothing, no history of that person doing anything in their system. And so, well, you know, why do you think, like, how are you supposed to remember all this? You can't remember or even honestly tell me you remember talking to this person, because I know you don't, right? So I've had people that have told me, oh no, my memory is so good. I'm like, no, it's not that good. It's good, but it's not that good. So it's everyone out there. So that's also, again, why when you guys are running through training with us, we really keep talking about logging your calls, putting your notes and logging your calls, you know, because we do so much of that. And like Tara is an example where we're tracking the lead in their activities. Why wouldn't we do the same for ourselves? Right. So it's all connected, right? It's all connected. And they both complement each other really at the end of the day. So you do your agent locator in the morning. Has it always been like that for you, or, you know, previously were you just kind of fitting it in wherever you could fit it in, or did you always have a set time for yourself that you're managing?
Always in the morning is when I like to get into the dashboard, right? Because I really do I really do fly during the day.
Okay.
However, I've taken on additional roles. I'm the manager of my brokerage now as well. So there was a time when a lead would come in that I would open up the dashboard throughout the day. But for me and my job commitments in real estate, because not only am I a really busy realtor, I've learned, and this was not easy, Crystal, because my leads are this important to me. I've learned that when a lead comes in, if it's after or later in the afternoon, it's okay for me to open up the dashboard first thing in the morning and do my revisions and add them to my drip and so forth. I'm not a believer, gosh, don't hate me, in the automatic assignment. I still assign myself the drip to each of my leads personally. And the reason I do that, going back to what we were just saying, that when a new lead comes in, I want to go in and look at that lead. I want to revise their search and set them up the way that I think they need to be set up. And I want to add them to my drip without the automatic assignment. So that means right from the get-go, I'm investing myself already into Sue.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So I'm super busy. I do a high volume of homes. I am working 7 days a week, like all the other realtors, but I still take the time for each and every lead that comes in, and I buy a lot of leads. So that right from the get-go, I'm investing myself without relying on automatic assignment.
And it created a new habit for you, right? So, or helped, it complemented your habit or forced you to continue on with that habit, because now you're not relying on something to do it for you. You're going in there, you're getting a firsthand look at that lead. Most people do get that firsthand look, but it's prompting you got to do this a little sooner. Otherwise, they're not going to get your emails until you actually assign that campaign.
Girl, right? And let me tell you, it gets done. It gets done. Because here's my thought process always as realtors, we don't get paid until the deal closes, right? So I'm always aware that I've already paid for that lead, right?
Yeah.
If you're on a team, I was on a team for years. I was always respectful of the fact that the team leader has paid for this lead.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So the money has been spent. So why would you let it go? Right?
Yeah.
And I think that goes along as well with mindset. I think that goes along with knowing that if you just ignore these leads, there's living proof there are millions of dollars in these Google pay-per-click leads. Millions. This is how they search. They go on Google. This is how, and in my opinion, one of the best ways to get business to come to you, right? Yeah. So that's why I do it myself, so that I can reinvest my mind into them without using the automatic assignment.
Okay, well, that makes sense. It's probably not for everyone, but it does make a lot of sense that it is it's forcing you to create those habits for yourself, which, for some of you, it could be even just transitioning and turning off the automatic assignment for a little bit. Or if it's an email, so if you still want the text messages, but maybe you have a specific buyer campaign that you want to throw on those buyer leads, that you're not doing that portion as automatic. You're forcing yourself to go in and do that for yourself, which makes you, at least open up the lead and take a look at who they are and a little bit more about what they were looking at, and perhaps, reaching out or responding to them. Hopefully you've already responded to them if they responded to your text message. You'd be surprised, to be honest with you. It's mind-boggling. It's one of the things that we get. The leads never respond to my text, and then you open it and you're like, well, look at all these text messages that you didn't respond to.
Yeah. This causes me great anxiety talking about this. And I keep saying, I probably sound like such a freak.
Yeah.
But, I just understand the value. This is a major pillar to my business. And as realtors, we all know that we have to run a business with pillars, right? Yeah. It's like legs on a chair. And so when it comes to responding, like I gave you the example of the weekend where there was no time for me to eat. There was no time
Mhm.
for me to get gas. It was that busy. But there is always 1 second for me to quickly check,
Yeah.
walk up to a door and see that a lead has replied to one of my drips. And
Mhm.
it's easy for me to say, listen, I'm just with clients. I'll be back in about 8 o'clock tonight and I'll get the research for you.
Mhm.
Right. The biggest thing when I've converted leads and my leads tell me why they use me, because a lot of them will,
Mhm.
when they say to me, you kept replying to me and others didn't. I just am so baffled by that, because
Mhm.
if we're gonna get the leads and if we're gonna pay for the leads, why would we not reply?
Yes. It's mind-boggling sometimes, to be honest
You
with
know,
you.
mind-boggling. And I think that we all have to remember that we're commission sales people.
Yeah.
And this is how we get the deal. When you start replying, especially when you reply very quickly, then that makes a difference to them. And now you've opened up the lines of communication.
Mhm.
Do what you do best,
Mhm.
which is get these people in the car,
Yes.
right? And
Yep.
that's always my mindset. Always, always, always. If I don't reply, they're going to go somewhere else.
Yep.
And
They
I'm going
don't
to,
know. They don't know what you're thinking you're going to do. You have to tell them what's happening, right? People will respect your boundaries when you put them in place or let them know. And then when you follow through at 8 o'clock and actually send them that email, hey, got your stuff. That for a lot of people, that means a lot. That shows a lot about how you work as an individual,
yeah,
and that you're respectful of these individuals that are reaching out to you and you want to provide them that service. It is, I think, a struggle. And I think even a lot of you people, like realtors out there, can even sense some frustrations when you're trying to get a hold of another agent, right? It's not always easy. They're not responsive all the time. And you're waiting for answers for your client. It's just like, you're pulling your hair, like wondering what's going on. It happens. So it does. And that's, again, customer service when you are working your leads is something that we push on all of you in that initial leads training that some of you may have done, because it's definitely an area especially in the lead gen side of things, that's missing. A lot of individuals out there are lacking in that customer service aspect of their role with these online leads. And so the leads are asking questions, or even responding to a text that was sent out, but the agent can't even respond back or acknowledge that person took the time to even say, hey, well, we're just looking, probably not for a year. I see those messages like unresponded to. It's like, they're not garbage. They're just not ready. They're not on your timeline to move. They're on
and
their own
that's
timeline.
okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. We'll go back to the webinar that we did a couple of weeks ago. This
Mhm.
isn't our show. This is their show. We can't tell them when to buy, but I certainly advise, and this is what I do. My leads know that when they're ready, I will be here, which is why
Mhm.
I do have a high number of leads that it might take them 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
And they'd use me. Also, never forget, when you're working stellar and you're very prompt on your replies, your leads will refer you, because my leads constantly refer me to their friends and family.
Mhm.
And I said this a couple of weeks ago. My biggest thing was half these leads still haven't used me, and
Mhm.
I still have yet to meet them face to face, but I've done deals with their friends and family because they liked the way I worked when they started asking questions. Right. So this is a
Mhm.
whole, the Google pay-per-click leads give you the ability to reach millions of people, even beyond the people that are registered.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you've got to always remember that. And that's another thing that I never lose sight of,
Mhm.
ever, which is why I appreciate the value that I'm spending.
And you can tell as well, and we can jump in a little bit here and kind of look in the system, but you can tell when even somebody is sent a listing that they've received from you to somebody else, which then they registered. So you can actually see, because it's not showing you that lead came from Google. It just has the website URL,
Right.
which means that they came as essentially a direct entry. It wasn't through any kind of link advertised or anything like that.
Yeah.
We do have some questions here, so let's kind of go through some of those here.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I'll let you.
Now, yeah, so Alina is asking, do you have a script that you have for each lead, or do you write the emails automatically? So for kind of going back to the emails, when you're talking or doing that in the morning and sending communications out if necessary, do you have canned messages, or do you take the time to reach out personally with a handwritten type email?
So what I did quite a few years ago was I created my own drip email. I wrote my own emails, and what I did was I started this process about 18 years ago when Realtor.ca first came to fruition. For some of us old timers, do I say that? No, seasoned. That's the word. We remember before internet. Yeah. So Realtor.ca first came into existence, and back then, we only just was introduced to the internet. So we were more used to people calling us because of our signs or our newspaper ads, right?
Yeah.
When Realtor.ca first came into fruition, you were able to click on a listing and click on a little button that said, ask more information here. And then we started getting requests via email. So it was at that point in time that I now had to learn how to make an impression on somebody through email instead of the phone, because they didn't always give us their phone number back then. And that's where I started playing around with emails and how to email them and how often, in order to get them in the car and get them responding. And this is where the series of emails that I have and I currently use all of these years started way back then. So I've got my own emails that I know work. I create them in Agent Locator as a drip. I go into the campaign template editor, create the drip, and that's what I assign to all of my leads. And now somebody asked about a phone script. I do have what I call a phone script book-ish. Basically, it's just the different scenarios I use in order to, what I say, introduce my voice to these people. And years ago, I did it right away. As soon as the lead would hit the phone, I would call them. I would call them right away. I noticed that actually started changing, where I wasn't able to reach the people about 6 or 7 years ago. So now I've learned there's certain scenarios that I have in my head that I'm now going to introduce my voice to some people, but I want to create the trust with them first through the soft emails that I send out.
Perfect. Royer is asking, are your leads coming from Google or Facebook?
I do Google. I do the Google pay-per-click leads through Sunny. I know others do Facebook leads. I do my own Facebook boosting. Of course, I do that just through my own Facebook thing, but with Agent Locator, strictly Google.
And you're doing buyers only, correct?
No, I just started.
Oh, you just started sellers as well.
Doing sellers as well, and I just wrote the seller drip as well. So yeah, so I'm still working on the seller. I get myself into kind of that groove to see if this drip's working or not, but I think it will. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
It definitely it'll definitely be I guess an additional pillar in your pillar, right? Now Sherry is asking for those leads that excuse me, if once they sign up and then they're never active, how would you handle a lead like that? You know, you put them on your drip, maybe they're not active. Are you calling them? Are you waiting for them to become active? What do you do in a situation like that personally?
Well, when you go into Agent Locator, there's two different leads. So I'm not sure which one she's talking about, because you can get leads that come in, but they haven't looked at anything, which I call not active. And then you've got leads that come in and you set them up because they have looked at properties, but they've never opened anything, right? So
I think that's probably what she's referring to. Like they sign up, they're getting listings, or, you know, you may have.
I keep them on. You know, you can try to text, you can try to call. I'm not a deleter. I am still not a deleter, but here's my crazy mind. I'm like, I've already paid $10 for this lead, or $7 or whatever it is. So I'm not going to. But what I do with those is I keep a close eye on them. Because sometimes as it gets further and our market changes, whatever they've been set up to get, you may need to really widen out that search a little bit. Because as budgets tend to go up and our prices have gone up, they may not even have been sent anything, which is why really they're not opening a whole lot. So there's been times that I've gone way back onto the leads that have been there forever, and I've now really widened their search, and all of a sudden now they're active, and I get the notification, oh, they're active now after so long.
It's and not, if people won't always speak up, because if they're not ready, they don't want to have that conversation yet necessarily, or they don't want to feel obligated or like they're bothering somebody because they're not ready yet. So they just keep quiet, right? They're not necessarily responsive. I know I'm a kind of behavior. I avoid, if I'm not ready for something, I avoid for the most part, rather than continuously saying I'm not ready for it. I just, I feel like me not answering your 3 calls is a signal that I'm not ready yet. But everyone's different, right? We all act and behave differently depending on the situation. Alina has just made a comment that if you don't call, you wouldn't know the criteria. But Alina, you can see essentially what your leads are looking at when they're on the website. So that gives you a kind of in some cases, and majority of cases, it paints somewhat of a picture for you. You will have some of those leads that go in and they're looking like you can't figure out what the heck their criteria is. They're looking at anything and everything all over the place, right? So those ones are a little bit trickier, but most people stick to similar areas, price point, and like types of homes, things like that. You can kind of see a consistency in what they're looking at. So Chris is just asking what a drip campaign is. So Chris, a drip campaign is a series of emails or email and text messages that are scheduled to go out to a lead. So when you're applying a drip campaign to a lead, the emails associated with that drip will go out based on how you set that campaign up, whether it's based on when you assign the campaign or if you have specific dates for those actions.
It really, Crystal, it really is, in my opinion. And I started using drip campaigns probably about 14 years ago because we really didn't have the ability to set them up in different programs. But it really is the best way to get what you want in there very softly and then be on the road and work really hard and show houses, and now know that your leads are hearing from you very gently. It's a good feeling to know that they're being looked after if you do take the time to use the drip campaign feature, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a valid, excellent point, that it does allow you to stay in touch, or let that person know that you're there, still working for them, even though they may not be ready to pull that trigger just yet. Ravinder, or someone asked, what drips are you using? Tara has her own drips. So she's developed her own emails and drip campaigns for her incoming leads. She has, and I'm going to share with you all shortly here some of those samples. She gave some samples, one from her buyer campaign and one from her seller campaign. So you can kind of see what they look like. But she's developed it herself. So she does, again, if you missed it in the beginning, Tara runs her own lead coaching program, that crazy thing called Lead Gen, where if you are signing up with her to run that, to run through her program, she does give you those drip campaigns to start utilizing for yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
People do have the ability to just take a minute and create their own. They just have to give it some thought. So whenever I'm dealing with a lead, or actually, in all honesty, with any of our clients, right? I'm very much a relationship person in real estate. I'm not transactional. I build relationships with all of my people and my leads even before I meet them. So I think that if you put yourself into the position of, if I were them, how would I want to hear from these people? You can easily create your own drip, right? Just think, put yourself in their shoes, and never forget, when people are signing up, they're signing up to see listings. They want to see houses. So first and foremost, you gotta have the listing sent to them, and you gotta make sure that the criteria is large enough so that they get some volume every day. Because the more volume they get, when you start sending them emails in a drip, they're going to reply and tell you what they want. The two go hand in hand, not a really small search, but a very wide search. And that's how you can kind of get people talking to you.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. But yeah, creating an email drip isn't overly complicated. It's pretty straightforward. It's just putting together an email and how you would want to speak to somebody through that email, and short and sweet and to the point, right? Not long, exhausted emails, because no one's going to read that.
No attachments.
I promise you that.
No attachments, no PDFs.
Right?
They won't open it.
Yeah.
I've had some people that I'm coaching are now getting into putting some blogs on, embedding the blogs in an email.
Yeah.
Of course, you do have the bomb that you can work with as well. I think I don't use it. That's way too much technology for me. It kind of freaks me out. But I think doing that as part of your drip campaign is brilliant. Brilliant. Creating emails and having people put, your Instagram and your Facebook, follow me at.
Yeah.
Is also a really great way of getting your leads more invested into you. Just some tips. That's all.
And if you're one side suggestion with that, when you're like, follow me on, what have you, tell them why they would want to follow you on that as well, right? So giving them a reason why they would want to follow that. There's, whatever incentive it might be to follow that if you are active on your social platforms, for sure. We do have, okay, so this is kind of a little bit, not on this topic, but a little bit slightly different. So for your buyer clients, when you are showing them properties or talking about home pricing, just with today's market, almost everything is going over asking. Would you, if they want to go look at that property that's listed at X amount of dollars, are you educating them beforehand that this is what you feel the property might go for before you go and show it to them?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll tell you, one of the ways I've been so successful is I am not a Debbie Downer. My biggest thing is this. Okay, Tara, we want to see, a house at $599. Of course, you're going to ask what their budget is. If their budget is $625, of course, I'm going to say, listen, this is probably going to sell around the $9s or, whatever it may be. But if they still want to see that property, I'll show it to them, especially if it's a new lead. I want those people to meet me face to face. I want to create that connection that will then continue their journey with me. You can get them to be committed to you over email and phone, sure. But starting to show them houses is key to really solidifying your relationship. So I will never lose an opportunity to get out there and hit the pavement with them, ever.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's getting yourself in front of people. That kind of brings me into the topic of door knocking. Is that something, like, I don't know what the situation is out there. Are you guys door knocking or not? I know the last couple of years kind of changed the way we would do that. That's for sure. What is your thought process on that? Because that was one of the...
Love it. Love it. I'm a big believer that if you want to be successful, you have to envelop all of real estate 101. I think farming is good within, whatever your budget is. I think door knocking is good. If you've got a listing, there's nothing more impactful than your face in the neighborhood around your for sale or sold sign. At the end of the day, I always do, and my team goes door knocking as well. I always do this. All you have to do is just show your face. It's about the branding. Don't go with the intent of, okay, I have to get a listing. Go with the intent that I just want to show these people who I am, because my name is right there.
Even spark up a conversation too, right?
Yeah.
It's again, it's that impression, that first impression that you have with them. They may not even be thinking about moving anytime soon, but you might spark up a pretty good conversation with them, and you leave that lasting impression. So even if it is 5-10 years down the road, they're going to remember that. And then you're probably doing pop-bys or reaching out to them every so often anyway. It really sets that foundation it solidifies it really for when the time is right. They already know who you are, a little bit about your personality, and you either hit it off or you didn't. Right. Yeah. So you can tell, like when you hit, you're talking to someone, you hit it off, you're chit chatting, and it might not even have to do with real estate. All of a sudden, you could be talking about the flowers in their garden and, where they got those flowers from, for example, right? Anything.
Yeah. I was on a listing appointment last night, and that was from me door knocking 2 years ago. She's communicated with me ever since, and I was finally in the house last night. I know there's an agent here at our office that, she called me and she said, guess what? I just got a call to go list a house here in Whitby. And she door knocked 2 years prior in the pouring rain. Yeah. And she was like, Tara, I knew I shouldn't really be out, but she goes, I need a business.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when this guy called her 2 years later, he said, you're the only realtor I've ever seen door knock in the rain. And I knew I was going to use you.
Yeah.
It still took him a couple of years to call, but you know what? I mean, you never know. You never.
And it does impress a lot of people. Those are, you get some people like, oh, the door knocker is like, they feel like the realtors are a nuisance, or the realtors feel like they're being a nuisance, one of the two. But then you get those individuals out there like that can see what you're doing to help build or generate business, and that you're working hard. I did it like many years ago. It was like 36 degrees. I'm dying. And people are recognizing that you're out there, hustling when everyone else is sitting inside air conditioning, right? And they're like commenting and, here, let me get you some water. I get you some water. Like, wow, this is amazing that you're out here doing this. Right. So
thing is when I'm door knocking, if I do end up talking to somebody, maybe they're gardening or whatever, and you're always, my big thing with door knocking is you always want to compliment their house.
Start with a compliment.
I'm very much not a Debbie Downer. Everything's all bright and cheery and butterflies and all that stuff with me.
Yeah.
Even if I'm feeling the polar opposite, people don't see that. But if I do say, somebody's like, oh, I'm not really thinking about selling, but you know what, I'll take your info and I'll keep it. When I get past their door, then I'll kind of send myself a note that says, 123 Main Street. I can go on Geo Warehouse when I get back, find out what his name is, and I'll send them I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me card. And then what I do is then I'll put them on my newsletter farming list.
Okay.
So, it's just sort of thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Well, exactly. You're building your database, and you're constantly thinking about that with every action you are doing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's how can I expand this? How can I generate more business, whether it's right now or down the road. Right. It's keeping ourselves top of mind, and really, again, it goes into your mindset, right? It's just like, now I have to do this, and it becomes a habit, really, right? It's like the same as when you jump into your system every day. You have your habits, your daily habits of what you have to do. We do every day in every life things. It's just got to do it with your leads and your real estate too.
I do.
With the door knocking, we have Priyanka just asking, is there anything specific that you would bring with you? And then if you are just kind of doing, canvassing, just generalized, maybe you don't have a listing, maybe you don't have a sold, or maybe you did, how often would you go back and hit that neighborhood again?
Well, I believe you should do it at the minimum once a month, at the minimum. If you can do it bi-weekly, I think that's good. I love Vistaprint. I love Vistaprint. I do a lot of orders that way. I actually just ordered a couple more versions of door hangers.
Okay.
So far, the door hangers I'm kind of into right now. I used to do mostly postcards, but the door hangers are very non-invasive, just to hang the door. You can get shorter ones or longer ones. I just do the short ones. And I think they're great. And I try to do very generic so that I continue to use the same ones rather than really having it just sold 123 Main Street.
Yeah.
If I want to order, 750, then I can use them in all the areas that we want repeatedly over and over again. It's just like anything else. In order to be successful, you have to create a plan for your pillars of your business. And for me and my business, I have a plan for my leads, my pay-per-click leads, and I have the same version of plan for my farming areas and my door knocking. Right. And that's just basically what it is. And if anybody hasn't done a business plan with their pillars, they need to get that done, because once you put it in writing and you say, okay, bi-weekly, I'm going to target First Street, Second Street, Third Street. When it's in writing, you'll be more apt to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I find there's even areas where I would door knock. I know there's one realtor out there in the Oshawa area, Suzanne, and her farm area may have room, but then she had a very distinct farm area community, and she would door knock it constantly. She basically goes to her roots, right? Constantly goes through her cycle. So even like I was doing once, and it was just advertising for an upcoming open house of one of the houses in the neighborhood, just letting everyone know. And even the lady right away, she says, you know what, I really, I appreciate this. We might check by, but just giving a heads up, Suzanne is going to be our realtor. She is so dedicated to the community. She comes by all the time. She'll periodically run an event in the park. She's like, our business, regardless, is we can, respect and value her efforts, and that's what we're going to use. So it does leave people recognize your efforts when you're doing that consistently.
And that's the big thing, is it's about branding. And if you go into these neighborhoods, if you go into these leads, it's about your name. Right? In order for these leads to want to use you, in order for you to have success in farming, they need to know who Tara Baylis is, right? The more you see the name, the more when they're ready, you're going to be at their top of mind. And that's what all of this is about, all of it. So the same with the Google pay-per-click leads. I want them to get a lot of listings, a wide range of listings, so that they've got volumes every day coming in, because it's Tara Baylis in their inbox every day.
Yes.
Along with a drip campaign, right? So when they're ready, they're going to be more apt to think of Tara rather than, somebody that maybe has only talked to them once.
Oh, absolutely.
Same thing applies.
We have more of a comment from Mario. Patience is key with your online leads. I have many leads coming back on the site and looking at properties. They don't answer their phone. I keep following up with them, text and emails on a daily basis. No responses yet. He's constantly following up. It's a waiting game, basically.
But good for you. Good for you. Let's applaud him, because he understands exactly what we were talking about. This isn't his show. This is their show. Yeah. So continue to be in their inbox, and your name will be part of them eventually. I love that.
And you can let them know, that they're not ready, right? I understand you're probably just looking right now. I'm okay with that, right? Is there anything I can do though while you are in this early stage of your home search? Right? It's letting them know that I feel like some agents out there will, again, they're not moving right now, delete or stop the listings or whatever it is. And so a lot of these leads are encountering that when they're signing up places. So when you're letting them know, I'm going to keep the listings going, whenever your time is right, but I am here. It's okay. Like, I don't expect you to move right now because you just wanted to look at listings today.
You're 100%.
Now Sherry's asking how long you've been with the agent locator and what your conversion rate is.
Okay, so I'll give you the same numbers because I'm not really big on conversion rates. I started with agent locator. I can't remember who I was using before that. 2016. So I've been doing Google pay-per-click leads since they came into an existence, which I want to say was about 16 or 17 years ago when they really got big and more companies opened up. So I started 2016. Way back from 16 years ago on, my highest conversion was 5%, but I was on a team then and I didn't get as many leads as I do now. So I'm going to give you basically what I did this year is I figured out the percentage of my business. So I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, I converted 72% of my business came from Agent Locator. Last year, it was 75%. This year, my total cost for Agent Locator that I spent was $24,000. My income alone from Agent Locator alone, this is one pillar of my business, was $294,000. So when you apply yourself gently and nicely to these leads, treat them like you would want to be treated. There is so much money in here, so much. Now, I buy now a lot of leads, but I have a team that I also feed, and there's other agents in different locations that I also work the leads, feed them to, and I get a percentage.
Perfect. Yeah, no, it's time, patience, consistency. It all pays off. One person had a question about, we don't delete leads, don't do that. Now, what if they express to you that they have an agent? What do you personally do in that situation?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. So I still don't delete. So because I never know for sure if they've really signed a BRA or not. So this is what I say. I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep you on the system. If anything changes between you and your agent, just let me know. I'm always here to help. If they say no, you know what? I definitely don't. If they reply back, then I'll delete them. But 9 times out of 10, they still stay on.
They still stay on, right?
And I've already paid for the lead. So I'm always thinking, well, you know what? Maybe I won't get them, but maybe I'll get their mother.
Yeah, you never know, right? Or who they share. Yeah. They share a listing with someone, they sign up, right? It's again, you never know what that lead brings with them, what their baggage is, that you could get a little piece of that bag.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. And a lot of individuals out there, again, it's unless they're directly saying, hey, I'm already working with somebody, but thanks, that's fine. But when we ask a question directly, if somebody has an agent, it's very easy for any of your leads to say yes, because they know so many people that are realtors. I always suggest asking that question if you feel it's necessary in conversation for you to ask that question, to do it indirectly. Asking, how long have you guys been looking for? Have you gone to see any houses yet? Or are you primarily just looking online? Those who are just looking online, you're pretty much in the green safe zone, right? If they've gone to see some houses already, that's when you might want to dig a little bit deeper, if you feel it's necessary for your own mental state and well-being. Yeah. But asking it indirectly is a softer approach as well. It's not as, direct as a lot of your competitors are doing. They're asking the direct, hard questions, whereas the softer approach, indirect is definitely a softer approach to those type of questions.
Agreed.
How long after a lead signs up would you call them? Like, what do you typically do on that?
So I'm still on the fence a little bit, because I've really been laying off the calls because they just weren't working. So now what I've been doing is, I use the different scenarios in my head. So we talked last time about the re-login notifications. I'm a massive, massive, massive follower of people when they come back on. So I do think everybody should contact Agent Locator if they haven't already, to make sure that they have the re-login notification. So when a lead comes back on, you're notified that they're on and they're looking. I think one of the biggest things is if I see a lead start to make significant changes. So maybe when they came on, this particular lead only came and looked once or twice a week at stuff. If I happen to notice that Bob now is looking 5 or 6 times a day, I know something has changed with Bob, and I base that on the relogin notifications.
Mhm.
So that might be a scenario where I'm going to introduce my voice to Bob and just say, hey, it's Tara calling from begintosearch.com. I just wanted to thank you so much for coming often on my site. I really appreciate it. So when I always start my phone calls with a thank you, I'm catching them off guard. And I'm always getting the same response where they'll go, oh, no problem. Good to hear from you. You know, I like your site, right? And then I can say, listen, you know, now that I've got you on the phone, do you want me to make any changes? Is there anything I can do? I know another agent that I coach, he actually says to me when he starts off that way, he'll then simply say, do you have any questions for me? I mean, I think that's brilliant. Right? I don't ask them a lot of questions. I don't want to know everything about these people. I allow the lead to direct the call. And I really am specific when I make those calls. So if I don't see any activity, I want to wait until around day 20, day 30, because they're getting a series of emails from me before I now introduce my voice to them. I'm feeling now, I just want them to build the trust already, that I'm very non-threatening, so that when I introduce my voice, as I call it, they've gotten to know a little bit more about Tara through my drip campaign and through the listings that they're getting. Another thing I talked about last time is the market is starting to change, knock on wood. Right? We're entering a buyer's market. We all know it. And I've had the team and the people that I'm coaching starting to call people and say, guess what? I have good news. You know, we're entering a buyer's market, and I just wanted to personally let you know. I mean, these buyers right now on Agent Locator for the last 2 years, and who blames them, is extremely frustrated. Many have lost hope about ever being able to buy. So I think introducing your voice and bringing them, the heavens have opened up, you know, the market's changed. You might want to think about getting out now, is a brilliant way to solidify yourself with these people.
Perfect. We'll go through a few more questions here. I don't know if we're going to be able to get through everything today. Everyone's chatty today. My gosh, there got so many questions.
I get nervous.
Yeah,
This is my passion.
Yeah. So Brian is asking what your opinion is on forcing people to sign up to view, or versus having a website that would be open, but you would get less leads but higher quality. What would your preference be? Would you rather quantity over quality, or quality versus quantity?
Quantity.
Quantity?
Quantity. Yeah. You know, because I don't know how anybody, this is just my opinion, and I mean, believe me, I'm not IT.
Yeah.
But I don't know how anybody could really judge somebody that's just coming on a site and say, you're not worthy of me capturing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because remember, it's not always about that person, but it can be about who they know.
Yes.
So my leads refer me. So, you know, Crystal, you're probably a better person to answer that question than me.
Yeah.
I'm all about just, if you're going to land in and you're going to register to look at houses, I view that as a very warm lead.
Yeah.
Nobody's got a gun to your head. You don't have to.
Yeah.
And then I'm cool. I'm cool.
And really what it comes, if you kind of look at it this way, would you rather 50 opportunities that may go somewhere, whether it's 3, 6, 9, 2 years from now, whatever it may be, or would you rather one opportunity because somebody's interested in one listing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one sale or potentially 50 plus sales.
I tell you this. I mean, I know people, when they sign up, they start with a small budget, and I mean, believe me, I get that. So did I. So did I. If you're able to increase your budget with Agent Locator and bring in a higher volume of leads, you know, when you're comfortable, you're going to see as well, doing the things the right way, approaching the people the right way, answering them right away, you will see a much better conversion rate as well.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Now Steve is saying he only removes someone if they write a nasty email or text in response to an email or a drip email. He writes back an apology and apologizes and removes them. What would you do? What do you personally do in a situation where someone might respond, you know, a nasty or, you know, having a bad day, taking it out on you? What do you do personally if somebody responds to you in a not so polite manner?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So this is interesting. I've learned, you know, listen, you know, I get my feelings hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I used to reply back and, you know, just say, well, you know, I'm, you know, whatever, try to defend yourself in a nice way.
Yeah.
Now here's my thought. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You know what? You don't like me. You're not happy because I sent you listings and all of a sudden this is a problem. Let's move on to the next. And yes, I will delete.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're out. You're gone. I don't have it very often, in all honesty. You do get a couple where you're just like, wow. And then, you know what I do is I say to myself, you're not even the type of person I'd want to work with because you're too mean. Like you're too mean. And that's how I
a lot of like
feelings hurt.
keyboard warriors out there, that's for sure. Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of people say things through text or email that they would never in a lifetime actually say it to your face.
Yeah, some people
so
it's unbelievable. And so I just always go next. All right. Hope you feel better now. Like, you got it.
Yeah. So with respect to your seller leads, have you converted any of those so far?
No, but I only just started them. Crystal, maybe like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
I know it was just, we just started our last session.
Quick. I think I've gotten three or four. So I got them and then I replied to them right away. Those ones I did try to call right away too and would leave messages. But then I knew right away that I needed to really create my seller drip as I did the same sort of style with the buyer drip. So that got finished because that doesn't happen overnight for me. It took me probably about 10 days to really narrow down what I wanted for this drip. So fingers crossed. There will be business there, but I think I'm going to see that really further on down the road. And I'd love to talk about it when I actually can give you stats and numbers on it, but I'm really excited to see how this works.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I'm just going to ask a couple more questions here, and then we'll have to hold on to the next session, I believe. So many questions today. It's great. It's happened.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Now, so I know you'll take a lead out to see a property if they show interest in it, just so that you can meet them face to face. Now, are you taking them out regardless if a BRA is signed?
Yes. Yeah. But that's me. That's me. You know, I'm not here to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. And I don't, you know, I think BRAs are a great thing. I look at this first meeting as kind of like me taking them to my office and really getting to know a little bit about them. And you know what? Sometimes we may not even see a property. We might just meet at Tim Hortons and have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
But definitely for those that want to do the BRA up front, do it. You have to do what is best for you and your business.
Now, you're using the Twilio for texting and what have you? Do you text your leads through Twilio? Yeah. What do you do in a situation where your lead replied stop to that message to stop your ability to text them?
That's fine.
Do you still call them though? Are you still reaching out and having a voice call at that point?
No, not too often. Because remember, most of my conversion is really coming through people replying for my drip campaign. Like I'm not, again, my whole business changed about 6 or 7 years ago when people weren't responding as well to the calls in conjunction with my drips. So everybody that I'm getting into the car now is really solely just strictly people that have been answering through the drip. And then any soft touches in the scenarios that I call. If they book a showing, I'll reply back right away with like to see it. If I don't hear back from them by the next morning, then I'll make a call and say, hey, it's Tara. Do you still want to see this property? That's a really good way to introduce yourself to people, is when they do the book a showing.
Perfect. Now I'm just going to quickly share my screen for these email campaigns. I'm going to share it with you guys. It's a little slideshow of 2 examples of the emails that Tara has. We can definitely go into further discussion, I guess, next time on the system and setting it up. But I'm with the recording from Zoom. I'm going to send this slideshow. I'm also going to send the instructions on how you would create a template in your system, so you guys will have that information. So I'm just going to, and I think it's actually already open. And you guys can see this okay?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. So this is an example here of buyer day 7. So the buyer, from Tara's buyer drip, simple subject. Thank you for looking at the listings. And again, she's thanking them, right? And taking the time for looking at those listings. But this isn't overly exhausting. There's not a huge chunk of information, or it's not like, I don't know, a whole, like, I don't know, essay written. It's pretty, short, it's sweet, it's to the point, and it's not invasive, right? It's a very soft approach. So this is going on your day 7, that campaign for your buyer campaign. We then have the seller campaign. So this here is the seller 1. Again, she's thanking that lead, right? And she wanted to, basically indicating that she'd like to take a peek at the house and, asking about a quick pop by just to take a look. So I'll send those over to you guys, but you'll be able to see she does use the short codes. I will be sending you the instructions with these recordings so that you can see how to create a template. So it's not complicated once you figure it out. It's pretty straightforward. And then if you guys need any help, so there's questions about setting up campaigns or things like that, we won't create campaigns for you. That I can tell you. Sometimes support might, if you have all the content and you're just not sure if you have the whole, how you want that campaign to run. But do reach out to support. They'll either put you in connection with the training department to schedule a session with your trainer to go over your account specifically. Yeah, it's a skill once you learn it. It's great to have with your system, because you can build a variety of different campaigns depending on situations and so on.
It's
right?
easy. Crystal, I just Googled it. Like, I just went into the video section of the help on Agent Local here and just said, how do I create? Honestly, it was so easy to do.
Yeah.
It's easy. Easy.
It's not, it's not complicated. For some, we understand you guys are realtors. You're not all tech savvy. We get that, right? So we try to make things simple. And if we do need the extra help, we were more than happy to give it to you. And a lot of you will have already existing campaigns in your system. If you don't, we can definitely add some in there. You can edit those campaigns. You don't have to keep them as they are. You can use the emails as the foundation, tweak them to how you want to come across to your leads, and go from there.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yay. So and then again, if you guys want more information on Tara's lead gen coaching, it's that crazy thing called leadgen.com.
Yep.
Okay.
You can Google it. There's a website. You can get more information, all that stuff too. Easy peasy. But in a couple of weeks, we'll be back at this again. And I love the Q&A because I don't want to say stuff over and over again.
I know, it's like trying to figure out, like, what do we talk about now? No one's saying anything. We don't know what you guys are interested in. Right? So
I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Just end it knowing that if you want to convert, you have to invest yourself into each and every one of these leads. I'm no different than you guys. I am a commission salesperson realtor who cries when they're busy and cries when they're not busy. Like, you know what I mean? But you're already paying for it. So just invest yourself and you'll find out that it will work 1,000 times over for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Trust the process, be patient, and just work your database. Just open up your CRM every single day, people.
Every day.
Every day. Not
All
just
right,
when you
guys.
feel like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Tara. Thank you, everyone that popped in today. We'll be doing this again in a couple of weeks from now. You can, of course, email myself if you have any suggestions of topics that you may want to discuss furthermore, but we will see you all in a couple of weeks. And thanks
I
again.
love it. I love it.
Awesome. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.